Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Dottie Storer, and my pronouns are she and her. Reverend Krista and I welcome you to Eliot Chapel. Joining us are our welcome person, Yvonne Serbell. Oh, she's in the back, waving her hand. And she's here for our guests, and Carl Serbell is here for pastoral care. See him if something is weighing on your heart. If you have young children staying with you in the service and they start getting restless, you're welcome to take them to Fellowship Hall, where there is a live feed of the service and they can run all they want. Today is a special service. It is our second annual St. Louis Metro Unitarian Universalist service. We are joining with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Metro East in Edwardsville and Emerson Unitarian Universalist Chapel in St. Charles. All three churches videotaped their components of the service. Even though we aren't worshiping together in real time, because every congregation worships at a different time, we are worshiping together in spirit. To get us started, we have greetings from both Metro East and Emerson.
Hello, Eliot Chapel. Hello, Metro East. It's good to join you together this morning. Yay!
I invite you, as you wish, to join in our welcome today by responding, "You are welcome here." Sorry. If you are black, brown, white, indigenous, APIA, whatever your origins, you are welcome here. If you are an immigrant, a refugee, or a person without documentation, you are welcome here. If you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. If you have a disability, visible or invisible, or are neurodiverse, you are welcome here. If you have been here 100 times or just came today, you are welcome here. If you want for nothing or struggle each day to make it through, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or what your gender identity, you are welcome here. For this is a community of diversity, of love, and of justice, and it is good to be together. Let us enter into the spirit of worship.
important ritual in the Unitarian Universalist faith is the lighting of our chalice. Unitarian Universalists have different interpretations of the flaming chalice, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. If you are watching elsewhere and have a chalice or candle, please light it now as we join in saying the unison words projected on the screen or possibly printed in a bulletin. We light this chalice in solidarity with all who seek freedom, who yearn for joy and face oppression with the knowledge that together we can overcome any obstacle. May joy fill us always.
Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, This Joy That I Have, and remain standing for our congregational covenant.
Good morning. Good morning. Those of you who were here last week, you will recognize this. This was new last week. This is a zipper song, which means that it's all the same except one word changes every verse. So you will see those on the screen, and I will also yell them out. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Strength, this strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Love, this love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Joy, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away.
In Unitarian Universalism, covenants are the agreements we make for who we want to be as a people. Please join me in speaking our congregational covenant. As a free congregation, we promise to one another our mutual trust and support. To create beloved community, we promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be, to listen fully to each other with an open mind and heart, to speak responsibly and respectfully, and to find ways to improve our church for all members and friends. Please be seated. Every week, we share our offertory with a community organization that reflects our values and commitment to service. This month, we are sharing our plate with Missouri Forest Relief, which provides trees for volunteers to plant in both city and rural areas. As we prepare to give, we welcome the presence of children in the sanctuary. Together, young and old, we practice generosity, knowing that our gifts create ripples of love and care in our community. Let us give joyfully. You're welcome to donate through the plate or through the QR code on the screen in order of service. Or text Eliot and shared plate, that's one word, plus the amount you wish to give to 73256. A link in the reply text will take you to our secure giving platform where you can complete your transaction. Let us be a generous people. Dedicating this offering to the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action. We dedicate our lives, and these are offerings.
Today we are obviously worshiping together with Metro East UU and Emerson UU Chapel, and today's story comes from Emerson Chapel and from their Director of Religious Education.
So today we're going to be reading the story Bare Tree and Little Wind, a story for Holy Week. So, we've got a couple of questions here, just looking at the cover. One is, what is Holy Week? That's a really important question. Who's this guy on the donkey, and who are these people, and what are they holding? So let's go ahead and answer some of those questions first of all. Holy Week is the week that leads up to Easter, and Easter is a holiday in Christianity where they celebrate Jesus dying and coming back from the dead, which showed that he was holy and religious figure, and that he was part of the Trinity. So let's look at the story so far, and let's try to figure out what people in these fronds, that's what they're called, these palm trees. Hey, it's Palm Sunday. These come from palm trees, and they're called fronds. So let's go ahead and get into our story for today. All right, so Little Wind skipped through Jerusalem's palm trees. We're in Jerusalem in the Middle East. His visit made the green fronds clap. Little Wind took a bow. One day, we will clap on our own, Tall Tree said. When? Asked Little Wind. When real king comes, Tall Tree answered. So this real king who's coming, that's Jesus. Little Wind's next step was dead garden. Nothing grew there. Bare Tree stood scarred with cuts and scrapes, no fronds, no fruit, no flowers. How sad. Little Wind tried to move her. He puffed, where are your dates? She didn't stir. Sold for honey? He gusted, where are your seeds? She didn't budge, crushed for oil. And your fronds? He was running out of breath. Used for a roof, she said. So here we have people who need help, who need a lot. And one of the questions is, well, who helps other people? Panting, Little Wind whirled around her one last time. A few leftover shreds fell off her trunk. Thank you, Bare Tree said. Those were itchy. She'll never clap, Little Wind thought, not even if a real king comes. Years passed. Little Win visited Jerusalem again. Tall Tree had big news. Real king is coming today. Little Win whooshed through the grove. The trees danced and sang. Little Win couldn't help getting excited. He twisted up high for a better view. Would he spot a noble horse, a crown with jewels, a royal parade? So Little Wind doesn't really know much about Jesus. And when Little Wind thinks about a king, he kind of thinks about what most people think about what a king is. Someone with jewels and a crown and gold, someone who's really concerned with being the most powerful and having the most money. So let's see kind of how Jesus is different than how we think of a normal king. All Little Wind saw was a quiet man, still as a windless day. Instead of a fast horse, a fowl trudged along a dusty road. So that's not a very impressive looking horse, is it? He's not dressed fancy, he doesn't have a lot of money or jewels. But people cut branches, they threw cloaks, clapping and shouting, they waved fronds for Quiet Man as if he were a real king. So he doesn't look very impressive, but these people are awfully excited about him. And one of the reasons for that is that Jesus really viewed being kind as the most important thing that anyone could do, showing compassion for others, not judging others, accepting everyone, and treating everyone with respect. And so they view him with respect as well. So even though he's not dressed like a king, they're trying to show him proper respect by putting down kind of a carpet of tree fronds and cloaks. Cloaks are like coats that they would use for the time period, just to show him that they respect him, that they listen to him, that they believe what he says. In the dead garden, Bare Tree was still there. No branches to stir, no lilies to sway, no fronds to rustle, but she was as joyful as the others. Real king did come, she said. Did he? Little Wind wasn't sure. He told her about Quiet Man. He didn't look like a real king to me, he said. This was his first visit, Bare Tree said. He will come back. So here we have what Jesus is doing, which isn't, again, what we expect a king to do. He is helping to feed the poor. He's giving them bread. He's breaking bread. He's washing their feet, which is a really something you do for someone who's really close to you. You take care of people, but it's someone who's acting as the king who's doing this. So one of the things that made Jesus so different from other people during his time, and one of the reasons that people follow him, Christianity and other religions, and respect his teaching, is what he viewed as most important was how we treat other people. And that is one of the reasons that people were so excited to see him come to Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, and why they laid palms in front of him at his feet. Thank you, and we're going to go ahead and end Time for All Ages. Sip.
I invite you to join with me in the spirit of prayer and meditation as you are willing and able. I invite you to ground as you ground, to center. Did I miss something? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought I missed something. To center as you center. Let us start with 3 deep breaths. Our prayer this morning is by Reverend Joe Cherry. Spirit of life and love. Joy is hard. Joy requires us to feel safe enough, to be safe enough, to open to vulnerability. To feel joy, you must be brave. Joy walks into a room after the space has been cleared. Cleared of shame, cleared of doubt, cleared of self-recrimination. Oh yes, joy is hard. But joy is also worth all the hard work of preparation. Preparing oneself and setting down all the defenses, all the should-haves and could-haves, all the should-not-haves and might-haves. Joy is worth the work. We are worth the work. You are worth the work. And we can start small with the simple pleasures and move through to the grand freedoms we yearn for. Let us enter into a time of silence for the prayers and meditations of our hearts. Let us speak the names of those we would hold in our love and care. Joy is worth it. You are worth joy. So let us invite joy to be our companion through all the days of our life. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. I invite us to stay seated for our next hymn, 262, Hosanna in the Highest, a quintessential Palm Sunday hymn.
Today we are talking about two intertwined holidays, Passover and Palm Sunday. Passover is an ancient Jewish holiday, still celebrated today every year, and it has at its heart the need for freedom. Every year, Jewish people around the world and their loved ones, friends, family, and neighbors gather around tables for a festive meal that is eaten in a ritual order where the story of the Passover is told and songs are sung. People laugh and cry and engage in customs that are sometimes thousands of years old. They eat too much and give thanks a lot. Some people wonder why we even have Passover anymore or tell the story if it isn't necessarily historically true. But the reason is because the story is true, whether or not it ever actually happened. The story is of freedom. The story that we find in the Torah is the story of an enslaved people that found their way to freedom. The story that's told in the book of Exodus goes like this. The Hebrew people went to Egypt during a time of famine in their own land, but after they had been there for a while as immigrants, they became enslaved. Then a boy that was raised in the palace named Moses, who was ostensibly an orphan, but was really secretly a Hebrew, he saw the suffering of his people, and he had a mystical encounter with God. Because of this, he became a great leader, and with the help of his sister, the prophetess Miriam, his brother Aaron, and his father-in-law Jethro, he led his people from slavery in Egypt all the way to freedom. The way the story is told, the evil Pharaoh would have continued to keep the people in slavery, but God worked through Moses to send 10 separate plagues through the entire country of Egypt, from locusts to frogs to finally, horribly, the death of all the firstborn children in Egypt. Because Pharaoh was finally hurt at the loss of his own child, he let the people go. But then the story continues and says that he changed his mind at the last minute and sent the army after them. In a miraculous moment, the story goes to its dramatic conclusion, where the army is closing in on one side and the people are pressed up with the sea at their back. In this time of trouble, Moses asks and is given another miracle. The sea parts to let the people through, but as the army comes behind them, the sea closes over and crushes the army, leaving the people time to flee to safety. The Passover story, so called that because the angel of death passed over the homes of the Israelites, ends with Miriam dancing and singing in what we believe is the oldest recorded song in Hebrew. It's this spontaneous eruption of joy in the face of a near-death experience. Jews retell this story, and we're commanded to tell it as though we are slaves in Egypt. Not that it happened a long time ago, but that we ourselves are journeying this year to freedom. Because of this commandment, we have new ways to tell our story every single year. Haggadot.com, now called ReadCustom.com, has over 1 million entries to tell your own Passover story. And that is just one of many sites that people use, not to mention all of the professionally published Haggadot and other materials that you may have as a Jewish family to help your family tell their Seder versions. There are feminist Seders, LGBT plus Seders, racial justice Seders, and even, yes, Palestinian solidarity Seders. Jews are enjoined to welcome the stranger. We welcome all to the table this night, and always, always welcoming the stranger, because we were once strangers in Egypt. The Jewish people have always been a minority, surrounded by hostile neighbors and faced with destruction. But Passover has always been a holiday of welcome and joy in spite of that fact. There were Passover Seders that were held in the death camps of the Nazis because the Jewish people refused to let anyone or anything kill who they were, their joy that they had as a people. And yet in the Seder, we still have places where we weep because we knew that there was harm caused in the fight for freedom. We symbolically take drops of wine out of our cup at the plagues when we recite them, because we know that our joy is not complete when others suffer. And yet, even though we are saddened by suffering, we still laugh and dance at freedom found, because we believe that all deserve freedom, love, and hope.
In the Christian tradition, this is the start of Holy Week, which starts with Palm Sunday, which is today. And that means that Jesus was coming in to Jerusalem to enjoy the Feast of Passover, to be with his community, to be in the temple. And he is coming in and he's riding on a donkey, and people are waving palms and throwing their robes out for him. And I wonder, just in this Christian understanding of Jesus, there's this kind of triumphantness. And there's also the paradox is that he is marching to his death, ultimately, in this story. And I want to highlight the joy, or the joy that comes between these two poles of death and life, of in the ways that maybe subverting and playing with it is a way of joy. And Jesus, in all four of the Christian Testament, the Gospels, they have all different kind of details about Jesus's life, and some of them align, some of them don't. But one that is in all four is the donkey. That Jesus is riding that donkey, and I just thought that was interesting. And I looked into it, and it comes from they're quoting actually their own wisdom and Hebrew Bible, their wisdom literature of their shared text, and it is from Zechariah. And so Zechariah 9:9 talks about, it says, "Rejoice greatly, daughter of Zion, shout, daughter of Jerusalem, see your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. I will take away the chariots from Ephraim and the war horses from Jerusalem, and the battle bow will be broken. He will proclaim peace to all nations. His rule will extend from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth." And I just think that this is an interesting kind of Zechariah. Some of it can be traced back to a certain time, and then this portion of the text is not traceable to a certain time frame. So it's kind of this dreamy vision of what if there is a king? What if there is somebody else to rule in a different way? And so Matthew and the other gospel writers want to put Jesus into this story and into this way of thinking that it is not this king is not coming in on chariots or horses, right, of war to be this triumphant winner, but is coming in on a donkey and saying peace, and how that is a way of being a ruler or a king, and not domination over, but saying, I am with you. So I thought that was an interesting, the poles between what we think of domination and what we think of those who are of the common people, and that there has to be a certain way between those understandings. And so they also, so after Jesus enters Jerusalem, he has some conflict. He is flipping over tables. He's coming into the temple and saying, this is not a place for money. This is not a place for this kind of commerce in the house of the Lord. And so he's speaking back to his own tradition, his own people, and saying this. And I wonder if like that seems to go against this kind of donkey riding Jesus, to be angry, and he gets people upset, and they want to come and try to pin him down, nail him down, if you would, about certain questions that they have about the tax system, because there was a conflict within the Jewish people who are in the Roman system, that they shouldn't be paying taxes because it's all God's, right? It's a given land. And then Caesar is like, hey, you are here because of me. And when Jesus said, you know what, I'm not going to answer your question. Get to me your coin. And it says Caesar on it, and it says Caesar is Lord. And so he responds with, give to Caesar what is Caesar, and to God's what is God's. And really this is meaning that if Caesar already owns it, then that's his, you know? But he follows it up with, give to God what is God, because that is how, that is in line with the teaching that it is all God's. But if you believe that Caesar is God, right? Like it's kind of answering the question, but it's not. And this way of tricking, of saying like, you know what, I'm not going to be in this system, but kind of diverting it. And the joy that is found in that kind of paradoxical understanding of answering the question, but not really answering it, and the trickster of it as well. And I wonder too at this way of relating to it today, of how might we divert like a certain religious orders that are oppressive, or certain government governing practices that are not life-giving, like how to give to them what they are, but also to know that I think these orders, these way of relating to power, don't ultimately govern the soul very well, the human expression very well. And so how can there be a different understanding and coming together within that? And then the last way of thinking about this is the way that this coming in is a very triumphant way of coming in on a donkey. You know, there's voices and singing, but there's also this descent. He's ultimately going to die for upsetting people and challenging the order. And I wonder how those ways of thinking of in death is life and in life is death. Like, it matters that we use our time here to ask these questions, to dance between these orders that have been around forever within almost, I would say, all cultures, of how do we relate to power, who gets to call the shots and be in charge, what texts do we pull from, what orders of authority do we pull from. And I don't know, the question of how to live between that, or be the most of our human selves in spite of what is, and the joy that might be found in that too, of saying like, this is not all, or this is not it, but we can dream, we can understand a new way of thinking, or maybe an old way of thinking too, of trying to divert. So these are some of the questions that I have, some of the wonderings that I have about the paradoxical nature, the trickster nature of Jesus, and this time in the Christian tradition and the liturgical calendar of marching towards a death, but yet it being triumphant. A joy that is hard won, a good news that that means it's all over. But yet, is it, you know? So, yeah.
Thank you, choir. Wonderful. David, Beth, greeters, worship tech. Who have I missed? Pastoral care. I love living in gratitude. And welcome. Welcome, team members. What a blessing it was to prepare this service with Reverend Dr. Claudia Hall, who's the minister of Metro East, and Eden Johnson, who is the pastoral assistant at Metro East, because we are talking today about the intersection between Passover and Palm Sunday. And Reverend Claudia Hall is Jewish, practicing her Judaism as a Unitarian Universalist minister, and Eden Johnson was intending to go into Christian ministry, but it didn't really quite fit, and now is transitioning to being credentialed as a Unitarian Universalist minister while still holding on to his very progressive Christian faith. So having them be able to speak authentically from within their religious tradition as Unitarian Universalist ministers, I think is pretty precious. And we are inviting you all to a shared reflection on Passover and Palm Sunday as paths to joy. So as Eden explained, Palm Sunday in the Christian calendar is the day that Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. That's today, Palm Sunday. But something for those of us who come from the Christian background that wasn't often emphasized in the way we experience Palm Sunday is that Jesus was Jewish. He experienced his whole life as a Jewish man. He was steeped in the Jewish tradition, and he was coming to Jerusalem, the holy city, to celebrate Passover. That's why he was there, for Passover. And all the Gospels were written by Jewish people who understood themselves as following Jesus, a Jewish leader. Passover was their tradition. And so Jesus' whole ministry focused on offering a path of deliverance, not unlike Moses, from the dehumanizing suffering that the Jewish people were experiencing under Roman occupation. So Palm Sunday can only be explained through the lens of Passover. As Reverend Hall mentioned, the Passover story has offered a lifeline for Jewish people for thousands and thousands of years. Palm Sunday helps us understand the power of that story for the Jewish people during Jesus' time. So the story of gaining freedom from Egyptian slavery offered the promise in that time, in Jesus' time, to the Jewish people that they would also someday be free from Rome. They saw Roman occupation not unlike the Pharaoh of their time. So when Jesus rode into Jerusalem, he was by this time well known for his politically explosive messages, telling the Jewish people that they were worthy of love and dignity, when everything around them was stripping them of love and dignity. And many people hoped that Jesus was going to magnificently deliver them from the evil of the Roman Empire, just as Moses had delivered them from slavery in Egypt. But this is the thing. Moses didn't offer a magnificent, star-studded release from oppression. That's what the ancient Israelites wanted. Who wouldn't want an instantaneous freedom from oppression? But freedom doesn't usually happen instantaneously. Freedom is a process. And Moses told his people that their freedom depended on carefully preparing and being patient as God broke down Pharaoh's resolve. This was a slower, painstaking kind of freedom. And as they waited and as they prepared, the Jewish people got frustrated. They mocked Moses. They doubted him. They even told him to stop. Only when they crossed the Red Sea and the waters crashed over the Egyptian army following them did Miriam, sister of Moses, begin to sing. So it wasn't an instantaneous freedom. It was a tenuous freedom, hard-earned at every single step of the way. So when Jesus came riding into Jerusalem, already bearing a reputation as a rabble-rouser, some wanted to see a leader who rode in on a magnificent war horse. That's not what he did. Jesus was showing them that deliverance came from lowly places, like a donkey walking the streets carrying a common man, his journey softened by layers of palm leaves and coats thrown before him. Jesus offered the potential for freedom, not that he himself was going to single-handedly end their suffering. He was not going to give them a military victory. In that light, can you see how the joy that erupted in the streets when he entered was a bittersweet joy? It was a celebration of the possibility of freedom. And this is true in the Passover story as well. Remember, even though Pharaoh's army had been stopped, the ancient Israelites were still in the middle of the desert, probably still in Roman territory, and they were carrying nothing but a few days' supply of food. So when Miriam sang, this was a joy that was fiercely claimed with no guarantee that the freedom would last. In some ways, joy in the face of the possibility of freedom is much more powerful than the joy of victory won. Because you're allowing yourself to be claimed by joy for a moment with no guarantees. It's a brave joy because it is a more vulnerable joy, a more courageous joy. Each of our congregations here in the St. Louis region, each of you have had a significant year that tells us a lot about how joy happens when there are no guarantees. And I'm going to address each of you separately now because you all have a different story, and yet we unify into one common story. So 1 year ago this week, Emerson Unitarian Universalist Chapel lost its St. Charles home. If you were here that Sunday a year ago, you may remember it, because the members, having no place to worship, spread out among the other churches and attended worship with us because they had no home. And they were looking for joy, and it was a bittersweet joy because although they were so thankful to have our sanctuaries in which to find refuge, they were grieving and they were fearful because they had no home. And I know this was a very hard time for you, Emerson members. I can only imagine. And after that fateful event, you were having conversations, difficult conversations about the big question. In light of this loss, would we survive? And there were a lot of emotions on the table and some challenging experiences that threatened to pull you apart. But enough of you hung onto joy. You hung onto the joy of being a small religious community that just wanted to love each other. And so somehow you kept singing, just like Miriam. And there was no point looking back. That wouldn't help anything. You had to look forward, and you claimed your joy as a church that's not a building. It's a church that is a people, and you will be a church wherever you are. And so you've kept singing as you found your new home in a UCC congregation, and you have kept claiming your joy. And may that joy keep blessing you. Metro East Unitarian Universalist. 2 years ago, you were still the first Unitarian Church of Alton, with a few brave souls casting a vision of what could be. You made the decision to relocate after 190 years in Alton, in a sanctuary where you had been worshiping for 110 years. And you made the brave choice to sell your building and to relocate. And so you were packing your boxes, and you kept on singing as you packed the boxes, deciding what to leave and what to keep. And I'm imagining the ancient Israelites packing enough food for a few days, wishing they could carry their whole lives with them, but knowing that they could only carry what was necessary. And you did this. You said goodbye and goodbye and goodbye, and then you kept on singing all the way to Edwardsville, trusting in the vision of joy that you had been holding on to and promising each other. Now, you are the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Metro East, and there are now more of you who have joined since the move than those of you who made the move from Alton. You heard the song and thought, this is where I want to be. Those of you who've joined since. You came, you heard the song, and you joined the song. Now your challenge as a community is now how to sing together, because you are two communities, those who made the move and those who came after. So your challenge is to learn how to sing together now as one community. How do those of you who've come since the move honor those who bravely carried the vision so there would be a church for you to come to? And how are those of you who carried that vision welcoming those who are bringing the new perspectives and understanding for whom the experience of the move does not correlate to their identity as members of the congregation or as Unitarian Universalists? You thought your letting go was going to stop when you sold your building and moved. But now as new people come, you're finding that you have to keep on letting go, because there is no growth without loss. And for those of you who have come to the church since then, the longer you stay, you're going to learn this lesson too, because you're going to become the old-timers. And the ones who come after you are going to ask you to start letting go. So this continuous cycle of loss and growth, loss and growth, you need to learn to sing together. That is one of your primary tasks right now. And what about us? Now I bet you're wondering, how are you singing the song? After the pandemic, those of you who experienced the pandemic, we had to learn how to sing together again. because we hadn't sung together in a while and we were feeling ourselves pulled apart. So we came together and we learned how to recover our song. But many of you have now joined this congregation since that time, and you have only experienced Eliot Chapel as singing strongly, right? Which we are now, right? We are singing strongly. But for those of us who experienced the pandemic, we have to remember that that's not a defining moment for those of you who have joined since. And those of you who have joined since have to remember that for the long-timers, we're still sometimes in our minds feeling like we are still recovering from that time and basking in the renewal. And you are part of the renewal. You being here is a sign of renewal. And so now we are in the place of singing together, rejoicing together, claiming joy together. And now all of us are learning how to sing our song a bit differently because of the country that is of what we're experiencing around us, right? We're in a very difficult time. And it's going to take all of us to stand like Miriam, turn our backs to the wall of water that is crashing behind us, and look forward, claiming the desert we are in now and dreaming of the promised land, which we don't yet know is 40 years away. So all of our congregations, we're singing our unique song and how we do Unitarian Universalism, but we're also singing the shared song of Unitarian Universalism, which is about looking into suffering and asking, who are we called to be now as a people of faith, serving those who are oppressed and the marginalized? Who are we now? And it's a difficult time for some of us to sing. It's challenging at times to claim joy or to let joy claim us. All the people who rushed onto the streets in Jerusalem when Jesus appeared on a donkey were wondering if they would ever sing again. And Jesus didn't tell them that the moment of their liberation was now, that all their worries would go away. But they had a glimpse of the song that might be possible if they live into his message of love and compassion. And so in the spirit of Passover, they cast their coats on the road, waved their palm fronds, and celebrated, even though politically and socially nothing had changed. They were still in one hell of a mess with Rome. But as a people, together, they claimed the joy of the moment and let it claim them. And like Miriam, they sang of freedom and deliverance from suffering. We are called to do the same. We can sing like Miriam. We can wave palm fronds. We can throw our coats upon the road and refuse to let the injustices of this moment steal our joy. So for those who celebrate Passover, Chag Pesach Sameach. And for those who are beginning Holy Week, remember, the Christ will rise. And for all of us, let us claim the joy that is possible in every moment, and let it claim us so that we can, even in the most difficult of times, find new life, hope, and healing. May we all be blessed with joy from today and forevermore. Amen, and blessed be. And I invite you to rise with joy for hymn 220, a Passover song, Bring Out the Festal Joy.
Sing songs of freedom, shout with the slaves who fled and sing to challenge folly unbounded. Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who led and sing songs of freedom. Chains still are there to break, their days are not finished. Metal or settlement, they're still not diminished. Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who fled and sing songs of freedom. Still does resentment bind each brother and sister. Still do the plagues affect us red as the river. Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who fled and sing songs of freedom. Long be our journeying, that justice is worth it. Dance, Sister Miriam, and help us to birth it. Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who led and sing songs of freedom. Oh, people, lift your heads and look to the mountains. Bushes of flame still call us, rocks still gush mountains. Bring out the festal bread and sing songs of freedom. Shout with the slaves who fled and sing songs of freedom.
If you are visiting today, thank you. Please join us for coffee hour and take a blue cup so that we can be sure to welcome you. If you're a member or friend, look for the blue cups and be sure to personally welcome our guests. There are guest forms on your way out and the QR code on the screen so we can stay in touch. Our online coffee hour is at 1:30. Our trellis extinguishing comes from Emerson Chapel.
I'd like to ask Anna to come forward and extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We will keep a place for you wherever you may go. We'll sustain this home of faith and love you've come to know. Go in peace, bring hope to hearts that yearn. We will keep a place for you till you return.
And now, may the Spirit of life hold you. May love bless you. And may joy find a place in your days. Go in peace.